December 10th. 590 B.C. The 10th day of the month on it was observed as a fast in memory of the investment of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar. Zechariah promised the extinction of this day of grief, in joy and feasting, upon the restoration of the house of Judah, B.C. 518. 493 B.C. The immortal day when tribunes for the Roman people were first chosen, the anniversary also of their authority afterwards. 270 B.C. Epicurus, the Athenian philosopher, died on the 10th day of Gamalion, having 3 days before observed his 71st anniversary, and with his disciples lived conformably to the rules of wisdom and frugality, although his name is unjustly associated with folly and feasting. His academy was the best regulated society that had ever been seen. 536. Rome opened her gates to Belisarius. The garrison departed without molestation along the Flaminian Way, and the city, after 60 years of servitude, was delivered from the yoke of the barbarians. Eleutherius, the Gothic chief, was sent to bear the keys of the city to his imperial master. 1282. Llewellyn ap Gruffudd, a Welsh prince, killed. He heroically resisted the invasion of Edward I of England, but fell, and the liberty of his country perished with him after an independence of 800 years. 1506. Bologna captured by Pope Julius I, who entered in triumph. 1508. The League of Cambrai formed against the Venetian power. The Pope, the Emperor of Germany, and the kings of France and Spain were the parties to it. 1520. Luther destroyed the papal bull against himself, with the works of the anti-reformers, in a public fire behind the walls of Wittenberg. 1548. Battle of Pinckney Field, near Musselburgh, in which 13,000 of the Scots were slain. 1577. On St. Obertus Eve a great number of persons paraded the streets of Perth in disguise. One clad in the devil's coat, the horse of another walked in men's shoes. 1586. Elizabeth signed a warrant for the execution of Mary. 1626. Edmund Gunter, an English mathematician and astronomer, died. He distinguished himself by many important improvements in mathematical instruments for the use of navigation, etc. 1672. A monthly post established from New York to Boston. 1674. John Vaughan, an eminent English law reporter, died, more admired for his talents than loved for his courteous manners. 1681. The British factor, Captain True, arrived at Chester, on the River Delaware, from England, with settlers for Pennsylvania. They remained there all winter. The river having frozen over that night, she was one of the 3 ships that left England with the first settlers. One of them, the Amity, arrived before her. The third was blown off the coast to the West Indies, and did not arrive until the next spring. 1688. James IV deserted the English throne, embarked for France, and ordered his army to be disbanded. 1697. The Peace of Ryswick, which had been signed in September, proclaimed in Boston, and the colonies had repose from war. Some of the Indians continued their hostilities, but finding themselves unsupported by the French, they took measures for peace. 1697. The population of New France, exclusive of Acadie, was 8,515, and could arm about 1,000 men. 1747. Duncan Forbes, an eminent Scottish lawyer, died. He wrote chiefly on theological subjects. 1757. Breslau retaken from the Austrians by Frederick II of Prussia. The Austrians lost 13 generals and 18,000 men prisoners. 1768. The Royal Academy of London instituted. 1792. John Joseph Sue died, professor of anatomy at Paris, and a writer on anatomy and surgery. 1801. Jonathan Battishill, an eminent English musical composer, died. To a profound knowledge he added great taste and a fine imagination. 1804. New York Historical Society instituted. 1807. Kingdom of Etruria dissolved and annexed to France. 1808. James Sullivan, Governor of Massachusetts, died. He rose to great usefulness unaided by opulence or family connections. 1809. Girona in Spain surrendered to the French after a siege of 6 months. 1813. French under Soult endeavored to force the British under Wellington to repass the Nieve but were repulsed. 1813. The United States troops under General McClure burned Newark adjoining Fort George, destroyed that fort, removed the public stores, and retired to the south side of the Niagara River. 1817. Mississippi admitted into the Confederacy. 1833. The House of Assembly in Jamaica passed a bill for the abolition of slavery. 1834. Alexander Chalmers died, one of the most eminent biographers that Great Britain has produced. He commenced a laborious literary life in London and no man, it is said, ever edited so many books for the booksellers. He published a general biographical dictionary in 32 volumes. 1835. The fortress of San Antonio surrendered by the Mexicans to the Texans under Colonel Milan. The captors found 1,900 rounds of powder and ball, 24 pieces of cannon, and a large amount of military stores, etc. 1836. A decree of the Queen of Portugal published, abolishing the slave trade in the Portuguese dominions. 1842. Pleasant Henderson, a soldier of the Revolution from North Carolina, died in Tennessee. He was a companion of Daniel Boone in many of his wanderings and was for more than 30 years a clerk of the North Carolina House of Commons. 1842. Rowland Hill, Viscount Hill, the well-known coadjutor of the Duke of Wellington in the Peninsula campaigns, died in his 70th year, near Shrewsbury, England. 1845. Jesse D. Elliott, an American Commodore, died at Philadelphia, aged 62. He contributed much to Perry's success on Lake Erie. 1846. James Grierson died at Masharene, New Brunswick, aged 105. He was one of the Loyalists that left the United States during the Revolution. 1848. Louis Napoleon elected President of the French. 5,534,520 voting for him. 1852. William Empson, professor of law in the East India College at Hoxley, England, died, aged 62. He was editor of the Edinburgh Review. 1855. The Emperor Faustin I left Port-au-Prince with 30,000 men to subjugate the Dominican Republic. His forces were completely routed and dispersed.